Hello, I'm making this short video to help familiarize all of you students with how to navigate around the online American Studies course. The link below will take you to learneverywhere.org. Learn Everywhere is our district's one-stop shop for all online courses. Now right now that just means 2 courses, but in time we hope to offer many more. When you arrive at learneverywhere.org, this is the screen you will see, and you will want to look under Courses. Courses, if you click this down arrow, you'll see high school, and that is your course. If you click there, right now you see we offer 2. One is a science course, one is a U.S. history course. Clicking on U.S. history will take you to our page. Now over time you may want to bookmark this page directly on your computer, but it's a pretty quick trip from learneverywhere.org. When you get to this website, this will look familiar to some of you who have sat in the traditional classroom for U.S. history at Nokomis. But this is a customized website for the online course. There are some differences. For instance, if you click on the calendar tab, the calendar for the U.S. History Online course is more of a guideline generally, because in the online course you can work more at your own speed generally. There are some weekly pieces that are due, and they are the 4 posts in the discussion board each week and the learning journal entry. We'll talk about more of that in a moment, but I want you to see that this is slightly different. You will see here there is a link directly to the discussion board. You want to click on that. When you come here, it will ask you to sign in. And I sign in. It has me memorized, but poorly. So if I sign in under my account, it will take me in. And as you can see, there is a post in here already, and this is actually the week 1 assignment. So you would click on the topic, and when this comes up, you would read the post and respond. And by respond I mean hit reply. You would not make a new post yourself. You reply to the posts that are submitted by the teachers. Now down the road, if you want to start a new discussion as one of your 4 posts per week, that would be fine, but make sure that you respond to the question, that the essential question for the week that is asked, in order to receive credit. So we take back to discussions and go back to our U.S. history page. The next piece that is worth looking at is this grading and assessment. And again, those of you who early on were in the traditional classroom, this will look familiar, but it's worth looking at for the simple reason that it will tell you the grading categories and how much each category is weighted. This might be worth double checking for those of you who were more familiar with the traditional course, because in this form it describes how the grading is different for the online course. For instance, the historical reading assessment is that discussion board. That's 20% of your grade. The applied comprehension are the notes you will take on each guiding question, and also your weekly learning journal. That counts as applied comprehension. That's 25% of your grade. Local history project is 25% of your grade, and there will be another screencast on the local history project link in our website that more details and describes what the local history project is for people who are not familiar with it. And lastly, the historical evaluation, 30% of your grade. You will have exams in the class. You will have some weekly assignments based around content and really based around the guiding questions of the course. There are some other links over here that are worth looking at. How to Read History is kind of a guide to reading nonfiction and reading historical texts. The rubrics that I use for assessment are also here. And then Local History Project and the Local History Database. The Local History Project link would describe the project and what you need to do, give you some background information on how to prepare for that. The Local History Database is the actual database that your project will go into. It includes some work that's been done over the last few years, recording primary interviews, primary source material, pictures and interviews and whatnot. What I want to really point your attention to at this point is this section here, guiding questions. Our units, our work are built around these guiding questions. The essential question of the class is up here on the top page. What does it mean to be an American citizen? We will look at citizenship not as something that you are born into, not as something that you would take a test and gain as some sort of legal status. That's a piece of it, but it's a very small piece. When we look at what it means to be an American citizen this year, we're talking about the heritage of American citizenship and inheritance of rights, responsibilities, a tradition that we both take on and we accept from the past, but we also redefine in the moment. And we'll look at really what that means throughout the year. But to start, you should know that what we're looking at is the role of the citizen and what that means to you as an individual. One who can vote, one who can speak out, someone who can be engaged in shaping policy for your society. In order to answer that rather large question, and maybe somewhat abstract question, we will, throughout the semester and throughout the year, look at these guiding questions. And this is where you will do the majority of your historical work. This is where your historical evaluation work can be found. We break our units into these guiding questions. And for quarter one, what we'll be looking at is how does a citizen judge information? We'll look at how does a democratic republic respond to crisis? We'll look at how does a democratic republic respond to peace and prosperity, and what is the relationship between protection and freedom for the citizen. If these seem like rather strange questions, or questions that you don't find yourself really having ever thought about or have an answer to, that's fine. That's in part the point. We don't often think about our citizenship broken into these kind of levels. But if we can answer these questions, these are aspects, all of them are aspects of our role as citizen. And if we can answer these questions and reflect upon them, consider them, you will come to your own conclusions perhaps, or at least start heading towards your own conclusions on these guiding questions, and that will inform your answer to the overall essential question of the course about what does it mean to be an American citizen. These pictures you see on the front page, and the front page certainly may change, you see here class discussion guidelines. This is kind of slightly funny, but they include, as you go into the discussion board, it's worth thinking about, are these the skills that you're displaying? Are you listening? Can you summarize what other people have said or what a text has said? Can you build on the statements of prior speakers? Do you direct attention to something that someone else has said? Are you always advocating for your own point, or are you pointing towards something that might have been insightful or intelligent that another person has said, and then trying to build off of it? Relative to your own knowledge, or being accountable to knowledge, are you checking your understanding? Are you trying to unpack? And that's really a key one, this one here. Unpacking really means describing for people what you mean by certain words, or what you understood by certain phrases. We might look at texts in which someone may talk about love, and you'd want to unpack for the people in your discussion what you mean by that term. We might look at other terms like oppression. What does it mean to be oppressed? And of course, different people might have different views on that. Other words like freedom. They might need some unpacking as to what it means to you particularly. Of course, we support what we say. That's a significant task. And we try to point out relationships between previous discussions and the discussion you may be in, between previous texts and the text we may be reading. And then finally, accountable to rigorous thinking. Do you defend your own positions? Do you defend your own points? Do you challenge others? Of course, this is not rudeness, but citizens often challenge each other to clarify an issue. We are always respectful, of course. This is a classroom space, but that doesn't necessarily mean we always have to agree, that we have to respect everyone's opinion. That's maybe counterintuitive, but you don't have to respect everyone's opinion. What you have to respect is everyone's evidence, and you have to respect everyone's humanity, but that does not mean that you have to allow people to say things that are factually untrue. You should challenge that. You don't have to say, well, you're entitled to your own facts. As a key phrase goes, we're entitled to our own opinions, but not to our own facts. So it's okay to challenge people on that. And the fact that it's your opinion doesn't make it in any way sacred. It doesn't make it in any way secure from being challenged by fellow citizens. Finally, can you combine different resources, different points of knowledge, to bring them together to make a larger point? And can you think about an issue rigorously enough to be able to predict what might happen next? Looking at history, looking at what's come before, can you use that knowledge to predict likely outcomes? Underneath that, you see another chart, and this gets into your work and what I may ask you to do, and the different types of things I'll ask you to do. And I won't go through this chart exhaustively, but these are levels of understanding, and ideally you want to be moving up these levels. At the bottom would be simply remembering something. Of course, this you're all familiar with. Read a text, be able to recite it or regurgitate it on a test. And we move up this scale until at the top of the scale you are creating. You're creating things based on your knowledge, based on your understanding of, in this case, history. The last thing I'll point out about this homepage is this little reminder on this side. Your learning journal, you may recall, the learning journal is once a week. You will reflect on not the content per se, but on your experience as a learner, your experience as a student. How are you grappling with confusion? What are you attracted to in terms of the knowledge? Looking at why you're taking this course, what you hope to gain out of it, and how you might apply it later. These would be the sorts of items that would be appropriate for the learning journal. Please remember, you will type this up in Google Docs, and you will share it as an email attachment to these two addresses, Mr. Viles at learneverywhere.org and mrviles.learningjournal@blogger.com. It's very important that you mail it to both of those addresses in order to receive credit. With that, I'll scroll back up to the top, and I'll remind you to email me at any time at mrviles@learneverywhere.org. You are not in this course alone. I am here to help. And if you are ever having any kind of confusion, certainly email me. I keep Skype hours for a video chat conference. My Skype address is Daniel_Viles, and that's at Skype. And that my Skype hours are between 8:30 and 9 every weekday morning, Monday through Friday. And finally, for those of you who are near Nokomis Regional High School, by all means, I'm in room 104, and you can drop in, and assuming I'm not teaching another class, I'd be happy to help. Please do not get lost, especially early on as you get familiar with working in an online environment. The first move you will want to take is begin working on the guiding question, how does a citizen judge information? These are and should be taken in order, chronological order. They actually work through American history in reverse order, roughly. But you should do them starting with the top, how does a citizen judge information, and then move down the list. On each page, you will find an assignment, you will find material and background information to help you accomplish that assignment. And again, if you have any difficulty, please email, please Skype, or please come in and see me. Thank you.